A very warm welcome to entire HRIA family. Very good evening. Welcome to our webinar on a wealth building approach to tax planning. So as Abhijit introduced me as I'm a chartered accountant and my name is Nidhi Tanna, and we have Sujit Bangar, who is the founder of finmingo.com and TaxBuddy. So now moving ahead with our webinar, as the topic suggests, a wealth building approach to tax planning. Well, what do we really understand when we read this? A wealth building approach to tax planning? Basically, it means that when you are doing your tax planning or investing to save your taxes, along with investing into the products, you can also build your wealth. Yes, it is very much possible, only with the right guidance of the products that are actually creating wealth. Many people are misguided with the products in which the investment needs to be done for tax saving. So, a right guidance can really help you build wealth along with tax planning. Moving ahead to the agenda items of the webinar, the very first thing being the steps of tax saving. Coming to our next agenda item, the principles for wealth building. Following these four principles will help you how you can proceed for wealth building. Then we have personalized investment. By personalized investment, I mean how each different products that are available in the market can be best suitable for you. A short guide that will help you identify which products you need to invest in. Then we have some user specific tax saving instruments. These instruments are only applicable to those individuals who meet the eligibility criteria. Shall definitely guide you through these tax saving instruments when we come there. Then there are some key takeaways that should be considered while you are also looking at these instruments. Then there are some lesser known facts which will help you take maximum advantage of different tax saving benefits that are being provided by the government. And we have an HR's guide that will help all the HRs how they can help their employees with these stuff. And followed by that, we will have a Q&A session where all your concerns and queries shall be addressed. Moving to our first agenda item, that is 3 tips to tax saving. Sujit sir will take it from here. Sujit sir, to you.
Good evening to all, and it's very nice to be with HRI family. This is my second instance. In January, I got opportunity with the Mumbai chapter people, but I think today Pune and Mumbai both people are there. So it's very nice, and thanks for giving this opportunity to TaxBuddy. Now, first part which I'm going to cover in 5 minutes is the basic approach to tax saving has to have 3 steps. What happens whenever we start about thinking about tax saving, the first thing which comes in our mind is which is the tax saving instrument in which we should invest. But that is not the first step for tax saving, obviously. The first step for tax saving should be analyzing our own data. In daily lives, knowingly, unknowingly, we do many things and those have tax saving implications. We are not aware of it. And whenever one tax advisor comes to us and he talks and sir, what is your salary? आपकी salary क्या है? आपका हाँ 10 लाख income है. तो sir आपको 1.5 लाख का investment करना पड़ेगा. So you invest into this insurance policy, I invest into this, and we do investment. And then if we do independent analysis, we come to know already we have already saved some amount of tax unknowingly for which we have not taken credit of. And this has happened in many, almost more than 70% people's cases. So that's why first step should be analyze how much tax I have already saved. We pay for tuition fees of our kids. We have health insurance. We do regular medical checkups. We take life insurance. Advisable is a term plan, obviously. So everybody dreams to have homes. So most of us take homes on home loan, and the principal paid for the home loan and interest is having tax saving implications. So all these things which we are doing knowingly, unknowingly are having tax implications. So first and foremost, we should analyze, or our tax advisor should analyze about the things which we have done during the financial year and how much tax we have actually saved. And that will ensure that the cash outflow for tax saving would be minimum. So this is the first step, analyzing how much tax already we have saved. Why this step is important? In my own case and in my wife's case, I have witnessed it. Ki 1,50,000 bracket has already exhausted. I have paid 1 lakh as a tuition fee for my daughters, and I am having my term insurance and health insurance. And then also advisor comes and tells me ki you have to invest into this and that. So that's why first and foremost we should analyze what is our factual position and how much tax we have already saved. The second most important step is that to ascertain how much space is there for me for further investment for tax saving. For example, if I am paying 60,000 rupees as a tuition fee for my daughter, then out of 1,50,000 ATC limit, 60,000 has already been exhausted. Now balance with me is only 90,000. So the 90,000 available is the available for further tax saving investments. So whatever plan I do should be for 90,000 as far as ATC is concerned, and other portion is also beyond that ATC. But for me, that space, what is available for tax saving, that needs to be determined. And that's why tax advisor's second job is that to determine that space, what is available for tax saving, for investing into the tax saving instruments. And third most important aspect is to identify investment options so that we can create wealth along with saving taxes, on which Nidhi is going to elaborate further during today's session. So while doing this investment, as far as this third step is concerned, we have to ensure that our investment is in sync with our life goals and our risk appetite. This is very important. Tax saving is the best. Tax saving investment and tax saving planning is the best way to increase our take home salary, and this is has potential of creating wealth. So these three steps are very important to have a holistic approach to tax saving. I will throw light on in one couple of minutes on the new tax regime and old tax regime, which has just announced by Honorable FM. So in the recent budget, Honorable FM has announced new tax regime from the current financial year, and this new tax regime is having some reduced tax rates, and at the same time there won't be any deduction available. And old tax regime is as it is. You have some tax saving instruments where you can invest and you can claim the deductions from the tax liability. So the basic difference between these two is that if I want to save some cash for my other expenses, I want to have some disposable cash with me, and at the same time I have to pay lesser tax, then the new tax regime is useful to me. Mostly senior citizens or exactly those people who are in need of some disposable cash would be having requirement, can go to this new tax regime. And the old tax regime is the existing which is going on, and which gives us opportunity of investing into saving instruments, saving investment instruments, so that while investing, while we can grow the wealth, and at the same time we can save the tax. But be aware, there is no any standard yardstick which can say that you can go to new tax regime and old tax regime with this understanding. There are n number of permutation and combinations available, and basic reason is that if we do our life insurance without tax saving consideration because it is a need of life, we do health insurance because it is a need of life, we do other like home loan and education loan, these things are there which we do without tax saving consideration, and these in turn have tax saving incidence. And that's why while determining old and new tax regime, we need to take very informed decision. And for this, Tax Buddy has created one calculator which can also be of greater help. So now I will hand it over to Nidhi to throw light on how tax saving investments can be leveraged for creating wealth. Over to you,
Uh,
Nidhi.
Thank you, sir. So after considering the three steps and realizing that what is your income, how much space do you have to invest further, and which are the correct products to invest into. Now the entire focus shifts to which are the products that we should invest into. There are four Finmingo principles that we believe are actually very helpful for an individual to embark on the journey of wealth building along with tax saving. Looking at a very first principle, change the way you invest for tax saving. Yes, there is a need to change the way you invest for tax saving, because most of the individuals do only tax saving investment without realizing that it is not a tax saving plus wealth building investment. Well, the first thing that pops up into my mind when someone talks about only tax saving product is life insurance. Life insurance is the most missold product in the name of tax saving instrument. Definitely, a life insurance is a must, but take a life insurance with respect to your life security needs and not with respect to the tax saving needs. So please, whenever you are investing or choosing a product, make sure that you are investing into tax saving plus wealth building product rather than only a tax saving product. Moving ahead to our second principle, that is, ring fence yourself before you set out to create wealth. Yes, it is very much important to ring fence yourself. And this can be best explained with the help of the current situation of COVID-19 pandemic. We all know and have experienced how much important are emergency fund, life insurance, and health insurance. Talking about each one of them in detail, emergency funds. Well, we have heard a lot of people around us facing loss of job or even facing pay cuts. In this situation, only savings and emergency funds has come as an helping hand to face this difficult situation. Hence, it is very much necessary for all those who have not started having an emergency fund to start building an emergency fund. When we talk about emergency fund, ideally it is best to have at least 6 times of your monthly expenses as an ideal emergency fund. When I talk about 6 months expenses, please consider your EMIs and SIPs into that as well. Well, we all know recently there has been an announcement that the EMIs that individuals have to pay has got an extension of 3 months. But as we know, this is just an extension and not a waiver. Hence, if not today, tomorrow you shall have to bear these expenses. So why not consider them as well while you are making the emergency fund corpus? And the best way to invest into is liquid funds. Why don't you keep these money across, keep it aside in liquid funds? Well, with the advantage of being available even on weekend, as well as being credited to your account in no duration. Because the traditional ways to invest or to have an emergency fund has always been keeping into an FD. But that takes time and it cannot be met immediately on the spot. So
True.
when you are having emergency funds, make sure you take into consideration these points. Moving ahead to our second item, that is life insurance. Ideally, a life insurance cover of at least 10 times of your annual income is suggested to be invested into term plans. Well, you all might be wondering, 10 times of annual income is a huge amount. For example, if an individual with a salary of 1 lakh per annum would have an annual salary, so 10 times of annual income will become 1 crore. Yes, a sum assured of 1 crore is very much necessary for certain reasons that I would like to bring focus on. That is, very firstly, after the death of the deceased, the family of the deceased needs some time to cope up with their grief and find a dependable source of income. Also, to beat the inflation. And it is also possible that there might be some emergencies, like some goals that are upcoming immediately, like children's education or children's marriage, which cannot be postponed. Hence, it is very much necessary that you have at least 10 times of your annual income as the sum insured. When we say this, we suggest term plans because they give you higher sum assured at a lower premium, and these are best for securing your life. Moving ahead to our third item, that is health insurance. Health insurance, we all know how important it is. Even a COVID-19 checkup will cost us 6 to 10 lakhs only in 4 to 5 days. Hence, at least a family floater plan for your entire family of 5 lakh is recommended. Because if anyone faces this, this will help to meet them without burning a hole in their pocket. Also, there's a possibility that your organization is already taking care of the medical needs or already has a medical health insurance in place. Well, despite of that, I would suggest you all to have a health insurance plan, because if you move ahead to some other organization for better opportunities and that organization does not provide you this, you shall face that problem of buying a health insurance in this between period, transition period. So please have a health insurance policies as per the needs of your family. Also, if in case you have senior citizen parents in your family, it is advisable to have a separate plan for them, because they have a higher medical needs as compared to the younger individuals in the family. So this was about our second principle, that is, before you set out to create wealth or investing into tax saving products, start having or building the corpus for emergency fund, life insurance and health insurance. Now, going ahead to our third principle, that is, an early start is a huge advantage. Yes, it is actually a huge advantage. The experienced people very well know this, but the newcomers or those who are early in their age do not really realize this. By the time one realizes the importance of savings and investments, it is late 20s or early 30s, and we miss out on a huge time horizon of around 7 to 10 years, because an individual starts earning by the age of 22, 23. Hence, if we have given an example to help you understand what huge difference it brings to one's life. For example, an investment of 1,000 per month into an instrument that gives you an interest of 12% per annum. If you start investing this money at the age of 20, then after 35 years, by the age of 55, the corpus that you will accumulate for yourself will be 64 lakh rupees. Whereas, if you invest this money at the age of 30, then the corpus that will be generated at 55 will be 19 lakh rupees only, because your investment horizon is only 25 years. This huge difference of 45 lakh is actually possible, and this is only because of magic of compounding. We all have learned about compounding in our late school years. Well, it's time that we make use of this concept and let our money work for us and earn huge corpus by keeping it untouched for a long time. Why? How do you think that the PF as well as the pension products give you this huge corpus? Because that money is untouched for a long, long time. Just give me a second. I just hope my audio clarity is fine.
It's fine, Nidhi. Just in between, sometimes it's maybe your internet connection is a little bit shaky. That's the reason. But it's
Oh,
fine so far.
it's fine. Okay. Thank you, Abhijit. All right. So moving ahead to our fourth principle, that is knowing your tax saving tools well. Well, this is a main crux, and that we all are really eagerly waiting for, that which exactly are those products which will help us in tax saving along with wealth building. Well, we are aware of lot of products, but for ease of understanding, we have classified them into three criteria. One, that do not bring any returns. Second, that provide you lower returns, and one that are actually wealth building products. Now we shall discuss each one of them in depth. Then no return yielding products. Well, as we already discussed, like earlier, return yielding products, and basically all the line items that are falling into this criteria are actually expenses and they are not investments. So like over here, if you see tuition fees that you pay for your children, or the rent that you are paying, the interest if you pay, if you have taken an education loan, if you have purchased a property, then the stamp duty and registration charges. Actually, it is a benefit that we all have, that just by incurring any expenses that is by default in its nature, we can get tax benefit. But do not plan to take invest into the expense these expenses with an intent to tax saving. Rather invest in the products that we will see here. Then we have low return yielding products. These products do not give you very high returns, they give you lower returns, and they are also not really help you in wealth building as much as the other products can. Like fixed deposit for more than 5 years, it is a tax saving tool where you get returns, but it is very low and the lock-in condition is 5 years. Then we have unit linked insurance plan. In this case, the insurance and investment is mixed together. Why don't we have a term plan for insurance and invest into wealth building product for investment? That will help us give better life security as well as build wealth. Then we have home loan principal and interest. Well, this I have specifically added in the low return yielding criteria because currently, as we know, that the real estate industry is not really doing well or not really booming. So the capital appreciation that you shall earn is very low. Of course, the rental incomes are there, but this huge investment, you do not do it for small rental incomes. Then we have National Savings Certificate. This has low returns, but it is highest in this category, and this is good investment product for shorter durations. Now coming to our most awaited products, that those are wealth building products. Well, we have listed 5 products over here. The National Pension Scheme, which is a very good product for pension that will be available to you at retirement. Then we have tax saving mutual funds, that is ELSS, Equity Linked Savings Scheme. This is actually a bonanza offer where you invest into mutual funds as well as you get a tax saving benefit. Then we have PPF. This is a very most common product, and this product is mostly used by most of the individuals, and this actually gives you good returns with compounding effect. Then we have Sukanya Samriddhi Scheme and Senior Citizen Savings Scheme. Even these 2 products give you very good returns, but these fall into the user specific instruments, which we shall discuss in our slides later. And we should try to be as much on the right as much as possible. Abhish, should I move ahead or are there any questions that needs to be answered?
Yeah, give us a second.
Yeah, sure.
So there are a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
Mute some people, let them ask the questions directly by themselves.
Sure.
There is Ruchi. Let me unmute her. Ruchi, can
hi,
you?
Abhi. Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Hi,
You had
Ruchi.
questions?
Hi. So there are several questions here, Nidhi, and
Sure.
I would read out few for you.
Sure.
Like how much HRA can be exempted and what documents are required for getting the tax exemption?
All right. So when we talk about HRA, the documents that shall be required is very first you need to have a rent agreement into place that is between the 2 parties, as well as the rental receipts needs to be stamped and signed. So with regard to documents, these are the 2 important documents that needs to be in place, and as well as there should be banking transactions with the same about the rent being paid to the other party. And what is the maximum amount that you can get? So basically there's this HRA formula or calculation that has been given by the act where it will be lower. You get a HRA exemption from your employer. So from that amount, an amount is deducted, and the amount that can be deducted has a formula as to 50% of your salary if you are living in a metro city. The rent that you are actually, HRA that you are actually receiving, or the rent that you are paying less 10% of the basic pay. So the lowest of the 3 shall be deducted from the HRA that you are actually receiving, and the balance shall become taxable. I know this is a bit complicated to understand. So basically, this is well done in the system or software itself. It is difficult to tell what amount exactly is exempt. It depends from individual to individual, depending upon whether he's living in a metro city or a non-metro city, what is his basic pay, what is the HRA that he's receiving, as well as what the rent he's paying. And this shall differ from case to case.
Ruchi, this is Sujit. There is HRA calculator in TaxBuddy. If you go to taxbuddy.com, we have HRA calculator. So their exact amount can be worked out.
Okay. Ruchi, you have any questions? Any more questions? I think so. There is, she cannot unmute.
Yeah, she has requested to unmute.
Hey, hi.
Ruchi?
Hi. So sorry, it got muted again. So we have few more couple of questions. Yeah, I would read it out. Can an individual pay rent on his aged parents? Sorry, to his aged parents for staying in their house and claim the HRA benefit?
Yes, definitely you can. So you can, if you're paying, staying with your parents and you are paying a rent to them, you can definitely claim the benefit for the same in HRA. But you need to have a rent agreement into place, as well as you need to have your HRA receipts
All right.
to
The
the
next,
employer.
we have a few questions. We'll finish it off. Will
Yeah.
I get tax benefit of I'm taking tier 2 NPS?
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
So there's a question,
Will I get, oh, okay. Yeah. Will you get a tax benefit if you are taking tier 2 NPS, right?
tier 2 NPS, yeah.
Yeah. So basically for tier 2 NPS, very firstly, you need to have tier 1 NPS, and only then you can open a tier 2 NPS. And yes, you can get tax benefit in tier 2 NPS as well.
Okay, and what is tax angle on ESOPs?
The employee stock option plans, right?
Right.
Yeah. So basically, there is a lock-in condition and vesting periods that needs to be satisfied by the employees, and only after that they shall be eligible to have the ESOPs, and they are taxable.
All right. Uh, we have a last question here. Can we switch to new tax regime now and next year to old one?
Yes, you can. You can every year keep on switching. At least for salaried individuals, you have this option that if you select old tax regime this year, you have an option to switch to a new tax regime the next year, again shift to any other tax regime in following years. However, there is also a criteria with respect to the tax regime you submit to your employer. That cannot be changed in a particular year. So I'll cover that up in a later slide.
Okay, okay. One more question. Is the income earned as dividend taxable?
Yes. Initially, the dividend income earned was not taxable. It was exempt in the hands of the shareholders. Whereas after the recent announcement, after 1st April, the dividend that you receive will be taxable in the hands of the shareholders as well as mutual fund unit holders. And 10% TDS will be deducted by default. And if your dividend income per annum is more than 5,000 rupees, however, it will be taxable at a higher rate based on your income and on your slab rate.
Okay, okay. I think we can continue and take a few more questions later.
All right, sure. Thank you, Ruchi.
Thank you. Thank you, Nidhi.
Yeah, so continuing with our presentation forward, we saw the 4 principles that actually help us. And following this in sequential order will help us embark on the path of wealth building along with tax saving. And we should aspire to be as much on the right and invest into the products that fall in the wealth building criteria. Moving ahead, just give me a second. Yeah. Now we need to determine that which investment is best suited for each individual. That is, each one of us have different needs, has different income slab. So we have a universal formula that works for each one of us. That is, determine your investment horizon. As Sujit sir had rightly said in the initial thing, that you need to determine your goals and your risk appetite, which will help you in tax saving as well as wealth building. So over here, you need to determine when you need the money, whether your goal requirement is short term, whether it is medium term, that is 10 to 15 years, or it is long term, that is you want to secure it for your retirement or for pension or after 30 plus years. So if you go by these criteria and if you look for tax saving products with these time horizons, we have few best products that will have wealth building impact as well as tax saving with good returns. The National Savings Certificate falling in the short term criteria, the ELSS or PPF falling in the medium term criteria, and the NPS falling in the long term criteria. Let us discuss each one of them in detail, along with their returns, the risk that, the time horizon that they have, the lock-in conditions that they have, which will help us. Now, coming to our first product, that is National Savings Certificate. Now, the returns that you earn annually is 6.8%. Of course, this interest is not given to you. It stays in your account and you receive it at maturity. The maximum tax saving investment is 1.5 lakhs. The taxability is triple E. When I say triple E, I mean it is exempt, exempt, exempt. By exempt, 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 I mean the amount that you invest is exempt. It is not taxable. The amount that you will receive as interest is also exempt. Even that shall not be taxable. And the amount that you shall receive at maturity, even that will be exempt. Even that will not be taxed. So it is a very good product that does not give you tax at any stages. And the lock-in condition being 5 years. You can withdraw money only after 5 years. The money will be receivable to you along with interest only after 5 years. Now, coming to our second product, that is PPF, Public Provident Fund. As you can see, the returns that you earn is higher, that is 7.1%. But also the lock-in condition is also higher, that is 15 years. So just do not look, consider the lock-in conditions. Now, what is the maximum tax saving investment? It is 1.5 lakh. That is the ATC 1.5 lakh also includes NSC, PPF, whichever instrument you invest into. The taxability benefit, again, it is triple E. And there is of course an exception that you can withdraw from PPF for your educational or medical needs after completion of 5 years. Up to 25% of the corpus can be withdrawn. And the government has also given a provision that in case of COVID-19 treatment as well, you can withdraw the money from PPF. Moving to our second product that falls into the medium-term criteria is ELSS, Equity Linked Savings Scheme. In this case, you earn 9 to 12% returns. Yes, but the only difference being this is not a guaranteed return as compared to NSC and PPF. It has higher returns, but it comes with risk because it is equity linked saving scheme, basically investing into equity mutual funds. The maximum tax saving investment is 1.5 lakh. And the taxability, that is you earn, that is there's a capital gain. Basically, whatever amount you have invested, over and above that, up to 1 lakh, you do not have to pay tax. Only if the gain exceeds that, you shall have to pay tax, that too only of 10%. And the lock-in condition being 3 years. I know it sounds confusing that I have kept ELSS into medium-term criteria, but the lock-in condition being hardly 3 years. But as the name suggests, these are equity mutual funds. So the higher returns you want to earn, of course, subject to market conditions, you shall have to hold in for a longer duration, which will help you. Moving ahead to our last product, and that is for long-term duration, that is NPS, National Pension Scheme. Well, the returns that you earn varies from 7 to 9.5%, depending upon the type of NPS you are investing into. The maximum tax saving investment is 1.5 lakhs. And you also get an additional 50,000 benefit. That is over and above 1.5 lakh, there's a 50,000 benefit, making it a total of 2 lakh rupees. Only with the help of NPS you can do this, not with other instruments. And if your entire ATC is fully covered or fully exhausted with NSC, PPF, ELSS, insurance or tuition fees or home loan principals, still you can claim tax benefit of additional 50,000 if you are investing in NPS. Now, coming to the taxability part, it is EET, that is the maturity proceeds shall be taxable, but it will be only up to 40%, and that too based on your slab rate. 60% of your maturity receipts shall be exempt and there shall be no tax onto it. The amount you can withdraw only at the time of retirement. However, even in this case, there is an exception that you can withdraw for certain reasons that has been specified in the NPS, that is for medical needs or for some other requirements. Also, COVID-19 treatment has been added as one of the reasons for which you can withdraw from NPS up to 25% of the corpus. So these were the personalized investments. And this is the classification of all the 4 products, which will help you understand that which product you should go for depending upon your goals and risk appetite. Moving ahead, let us have a look at the summary of tax saving products. These are arranged in descending order based on the highest return at the top. Now, equity linked having 9 to 12%, of course, not guaranteed returns, but if you have the risk appetite, you should definitely invest into these products. NPS 7 to 9 point, but you should have you should have been able to hold it up to retirement. Then Sukanya Samriddhi Scheme and Senior Citizen Savings Scheme, 7.6% to 7.4%. This we shall discuss in our later slides. These are very good returns if you fall into this criteria. I will definitely come into the eligibility criteria when we come to this slide. We have PPF with 7.1% and NSC with 6.8%. The rest of the products, as you can see, they have the least returns. They have a very low return as compared to other products. Like if you want to invest for 5 years, the condition being of lock-in of 5 years, then a product with which gives you a higher return. So do consider the returns when you are investing and the lock-in conditions so that you can invest into the perfect product and you can have your money when you require it. Now, moving ahead to our next agenda item, that is user-specific instruments, that is Sukanya Samriddhi Scheme and Senior Citizen. Talking about Sukanya Samriddhi Scheme, basically an individual who has a girl child can take the benefit of the scheme. It is available for maximum 2 girl childs and make sure she has not crossed the age of 10 years. Only then you can claim the benefit of this. The minimum investment per annum is only 250 rupees. Only the first time account opening has to be minimum 1000 rupees. The maximum investment that you can do in a year is 1.5 lakh. Also, the maximum tax saving investment is 1.5 lakh. The tax benefit, yes, again this has EEE status benefit. The returns are 7.6%. This is even more than PPF of 7.1%, and these are guaranteed returns. So if you want to secure money for your girl child and want to invest into guaranteed product with a good return of 7.6%, this is a good instrument to invest into. Definitely you cannot withdraw money before she reaches 18 years of age, and you can withdraw up to 50% after 18 years for her educational or marriage needs. This account can be opened till 21 years from the date of opening. So this was about Sukanya Samriddhi Scheme. Moving to our next product, that is Senior Citizen Savings Scheme. Now, an individual who has crossed 60 years of age can open a Senior Citizen Savings Scheme account, and even an individual who has reached 55 years and opted for superannuation or VRS can take benefit of this account. The minimum amount that you need to invest per annum is only 1000 rupees, and the maximum investment in a particular year you can do is 15 lakhs. But the tax benefit is restricted to 1.5 lakhs. Also, the interest is taxable and the tax benefit of investment is exempt. But if you do not fall in the more than taxable limit criteria, then I don't think you need to worry about the interest that is taxable. This scheme is beneficial for the individuals who are senior citizens or have senior citizen parents and want to invest their pension corpus or retirement corpus into some good guaranteed return product. Gives you a return of 7.4% and a lock-in condition of only 5 years. Even PPF giving 7.1% return has a lock-in of 15 years. So this is a very good product for senior citizens. You have a benefit to extend it for 3 more years. Now, moving ahead to our next agenda line item, that is FinBingo advice. You need to watch your cost. We talked about returns. We talked about lock-in conditions. We talked about taxability benefits. But cost is also a very important factor that we should. Over here, as you all can see, an example has been given as to ULIP and ELSS. If you invest 1000 rupees in each of them, the net investments in ULIP will be 900 rupees only, whereas the same investment ELSS will be 990 rupees. So please consider the cost structure as well whenever you're investing or selecting a tax saving instrument. And as we had studied in our second principle, that and third principle, that an early start is huge advantage, yes, it truly is. Hence, time in the market is more important than timing the market. Don't wait for the right time. Start a small amount of 500 rupees and you will have a huge corpus. Now, moving ahead to our next agenda item, that are lesser known facts. These facts are really helpful, especially you all can guide all the employees that these are benefits that they can claim. So this is very useful even from the HR perspective and even for individuals. There's a preventive health checkup up to rupees 5,000 for family and parents each, that is available as a tax benefit. Also, this benefit is for family and parents. That will make a total tax benefit of 10,000 rupees. So this is a huge benefit that you can claim advantage of if your medical insurance premium is not reaching the 25,000 max benefit that is being given. This is a part of that 25,000 and you can take benefit of this. Now, second is for those senior citizen parents who do not have any insurance plan in place. Well, if they do not have, you need not worry. You still get a tax benefit of up to 50,000 rupees. How is that possible? Now, only two conditions that needs to be met. Very firstly, it should have been incurred for a medical treatment. That is, even a dental treatment is counted for this, a root canal. Even if that is being done, then you can claim advantage of that expenses under this. But you need to maintain a bank record. That is, it should be through banking transaction only. You cannot make it through cash. Whereas the preventive health checkup that we discussed in our earlier point can be availed benefit even if it is in cash. Now, this was the second point. Coming to our third point, that is health insurance premium paid at one go allows tax benefit for a number of years. By this we mean that currently there is a health insurance companies are giving you a chance that you can pay the premium for 3 years at a stretch. And the advantage that you have is you can claim the premium that you have paid for next 2 years also in this year itself. So you have to decide in the year where you have greater taxability, take the entire amount in that year and get the maximum tax benefit, or you can distribute it depending upon the tax planning that you want to do. So these were the lesser known facts. Moving to our next agenda item, that is HR guide. Well, as I had a question regarding the old and the new tax regime, whether we can switch, this is also a short guide, especially for HR, when there are a lot of employees coming to you, that what should they do, as to which tax regime should they select. Well, very firstly, you can select the tax regime by providing basic inputs on our website, TaxBuddy as well as FinBingo. Second, there is also an option that employee will select the tax regime and inform the employer. Employer will deduct the TDS based on the regime given by the employee. Once the regime has been submitted by the employee, it cannot be changed during the tenure. It will remain the same. TDS shall be deducted on the same throughout the tenure, throughout the financial year. But the employee has the option to change this at the time of filing of return of income. Yes, not while submitting to the employer, but at the time of filing of return of income, the employee can change it. And if he fails to inform, then also no worries. The employer can deduct the TDS based on the old tax slab. Now, also there was a question that can it be switched? Like this year we have gone for new tax regime. Can we go for old tax regime the next year? Yes, you definitely can. For individual salaried people, you can keep on switching from old to new or new to old year on year until further notification by the government. So this was about investment declaration. Now, there must be one more HR guide that we have in place is whether it is necessary to file return, especially for individual whose income is below the taxable limit. Yes, my dear friends, it is very important to file your income tax return, even if it is below taxable limit. For less than 60 years of individual, the taxable limit is 2,50,000 currently. So you all might be getting concerns or people might not be filing returns, but please look at the longer perspective than the shorter duration. For example, in the first example, we have loan requirements. In future, if you're planning to buy a home or there is any other educational loan or loan requirements that you have, in that case, it is very much necessary that you have your income tax return of past 3 years in place. This will ease the loan requirement and also give you a proper amount of loan because you have an income proof. So it is easier to claim a loan of appropriate amount. Then moving to second requirement, that is visa requirements. If you're planning to move to another country in future for abroad studies or permanently shifting, then in this case as well, they require 3 years income tax return and income proof, and that you being a citizen of India. Hence, this is very much essential that you have your income tax returns in place. Third, if you have any income that has TDS being deducted, but you forgot to give the declaration that do not deduct TDS as my income is below slab rate, your TDS will be deducted. And the only way to get this tax back is filing return of income. You file your return and you can claim the refund. Coming to our fourth item, that is loss in a particular year. So these need not be capital gain loss or trading losses. I'm also talking about house property loss. If you have a self-occupied property that is on loan, then the interest amount is considered as a loss. And you can claim this loss in your return. But to carry it forward in the next year, you need to file your income tax return. Only then you can claim it in the next year. Coming to our fifth point, that is holding of foreign assets. If an individual is holding any foreign asset wholly or partially, then it is very much necessary for him to file the income tax return. These were few illustrations to help all the employees or to guide them that why it is necessary to file a return of income. Now, when we are considering the taxable limit, always look at the gross income and not the net income. So basically, if an individual has a gross income of 3,30,000 rupees and he has an investment of 80,000 rupees, which will make his net income of 2,50,000, which might give him an idea, okay, my income is up to taxable limit. I need not file the income tax return. No, please remember, look at the gross income. 3,30,000 being about 2,50,000, it is necessary for you to file income tax return. So this was about the HR guide. Now, the webinar that we just had, a wealth building approach, is also available on YouTube, so that if in case you all have any queries or you all want to share it with your colleagues and friends, it is available. Also, we have a webinar on new versus old tax regime that is also very useful, that has minute details with a lot of examples that clear concepts about users who want to file their return, that whether they should go for old or new and how is it beneficial. And also we conduct these webinars for all the organizations at no cost, so that you all can definitely reach us and we will have these webinars for each of the organizations if needed. Now, giving you a short brief about finbingo.com. Basically, this is an robo-advisory AI-driven platform that has a lot of features onboarded. Very firstly, Express Tax Planner. This entire process that we just discussed, starting with the very first thing, that is 3 steps. This follows those 3 steps. That is identifies what is your income. It identifies how much investments are already done and what are the further investments that you need to do or you do not need to do, and which are the best tax saving instruments that you should invest into. And you just have to log in or sign up, and this feature is available. Also, we have a platform for direct mutual funds. You can also buy ELSS on this platform, which is commission free, brokerage free. And also we have Grow Wealth, that is your personalized financial advisor that provides you a complete analysis of your entire portfolio along with asset allocation. So this was about finbingo.com. And also we have taxbuddy.com, that is an income tax return as well as GST return and the tax planning feature that is available for all the individuals. If you have any queries, you can email us at support@finbingo.com, or you can even WhatsApp us. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me so peacefully. And I hope this was informative and useful webinar for all of you. Now I think we can start with our Q&A session so that all the queries can be resolved. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all are at home. Stay home, stay safe.
Hey, thank you, Nidhi. We have a lot of questions, not couple of, a lot of questions. Though we wanted to ask
Sure.
them as and when the session was going on, but because it did not want to break the flow.
All right.
So let's go ahead with the questions now which we have.
Sure.
Let me just collate those questions. I have a couple of things in front of me. Give me 1 second, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Couple of questions starting from Suraj Pathak,
Yes.
one of our member. House rental allowance has always been a tricky bit. Can you share some light on this?
As I already explained on house rent allowances, that it depends whether you on a metro city or a non-metro city, and what is your income pay, and what is the actual HRA being received. All these criterias are taken into consideration for calculating your HRA that will be exempt for you. And this is available on TaxBuddy and HRA calculator, which will actually help you understand that how much amount of HRA can be taken as an exemption. So taking advantage of this, you can identify that how much HRA you will be eligible for. Also, the documents, as I mentioned, that HRA agreement and rental receipts are a must to claim the HRA benefit.
Okay. Next question is from Shripal Shah.
Yes.
Whether gratuity amounts received by the employee on resignation are taxable and TDS need to be deducted.
Okay, so the gratuity that is received on retirement or resignation, in case that is not taxable up to 20 lakh rupees for government as well as non-government employees. If it exceeds 20 lakh rupees, then tax is payable on it, and it shall be taxable in the hands of the user as income from salary based on the slab rate that he falls into.
Okay. Then we have a question from Sham sir. Can someone invest for senior citizen parents? Can someone else?
No, someone else cannot invest for senior citizen parents. Senior citizen is the only tax benefit that senior citizen themselves can claim in their return of income. An individual cannot claim it for their parents.
Okay. Next question is from Sudhanshu Pandit. If employer is offering NPS investment through payroll,
Yes.
then it can be of 10% of basic. Is it correct?
Yes, it can be 10% of basic plus DA. However, there has been a recent announcement where any contribution by the employer in Provident Fund, NPS, or the different products that are available for the benefits of employees cannot exceed 7,50,000 per annum. If the employer's contribution exceeds that, then it shall be taxable in the hands of the employee. Already the portion that the employer is contributing is taxable, but the over and above that shall also become taxable. So basically it becomes double taxation. So it is important that the employer contribution does not exceed 7.5 lakh, else the employee will have to pay double tax on it.
Okay. Is it better to invest in equity directly than ELSS?
Well, this actually depends on individual to individual. Equity mutual funds being managed by fund managers, it is a product that someone expert in the product is doing in it. So with a financial advice, that is one option that you can opt for. Or if you have enough knowledge and correct guidance and correct financial advisor who will give you a direction of investing into direct equity, then you can go for that as well. It actually depends from individual to individual how much is he confident with equities as well as mutual funds, because everyone has a perception or some experience that brings along with them for the decision of investing into either equity or mutual funds, equity mutual funds.
Okay. Then next is whether gratuity amounts received by the employee on resignation are taxable. That was same question repeated.
Yes.
Leave encashment received at the time of resignation is taxable or exempt, and how much?
So again, there is a detailed calculation for leave encashment depending upon what is your actual leave encashment that you are receiving, maximum to 3 lakh rupees. Also, whether this leave encashment and the number of days that are left for your retirement. So even that is a complicated calculation for which you need a calculator which will guide you correctly. Just providing basic inputs, it will auto calculate and provide you that is what is your actual leave encashment that you are eligible for.
Okay. We understand that in the recent budgets, contributions made by the employers in PF and NPS also become taxable after a certain limit. Can you
Yes.
please explain the same?
Yes, sure. So as I just mentioned 2 minutes earlier, that that limit recently announced by the government is 7,50,000 rupees, beyond which any contribution by the employer to NPS or PF shall become taxable in the hands of the employee, making it doubly taxed. So it is important that the contribution of the employer does not exceed 7,50,000.
Okay. What are the various rebates and deductions under which tax can be saved?
Yes. So basically, the very first thing that most of us are already aware of is ATC. That gives us a maximum 50,000. So that is one under a section ATC. Then we have health insurance that gives a tax benefit of 50 to 75,000 or even 1 lakh, depending upon family as well as parents. Then we have different sections depending upon the criteria of eligibility, like even the savings bank interest up to 10,000 is tax free. Then we
Okay.
have educational loan. If you have taken that, it's that as well, the interest that you pay on that loan is tax free under another section. So depending upon the types of investments that you have done, whether it is educational loan, whether it is health insurance, or whether it is the products that are available in ATC, and most important NPS, that gives you an additional benefit of 50,000. So very easily up to 1,50,000 in ATC, over and above that 50,000 of NPS, making it a total of 2 lakh rupees. Additional ATT of 50,000 rupees. There, in this current year, there might be many people who have done investment in PM CARES fund or some other funds. So even that is eligible under ATG, the donations as well. So there are a lot of sections that provide a lot of tax benefits depending upon the different investments that you are doing over and above the normal that are listed in ATC.
Okay. Okay. So, one more, can we choose an option of new tax structure and old tax structure every year, or is it once only? And when the option needs to be chosen?
So basically, you need to choose the option every year. Primarily, if you choose it at the time of providing it to your employer, even better. So you do not have to change it at the time of income. Why not decide it at the very beginning when you're submitting it to your employer in the early financial year? And this can be easily done through our the tool on our website, as
Okay.
well as it can be changed year on year. And one advice that I would like that what all HRs can give to their employees is that it is always beneficial to go for old tax regime, at least for the purpose of deductions of TDS, because it gives you a standard deduction of 50,000 in salary. It gives you PF benefit as well as gives you profession tax benefit. It gives you house rent allowance benefits. So there are a lot of benefits that the salary structure itself gives to an employee. So it is advisable that an individual, an employee, goes for old tax regime for the purpose of getting TDS deducted while submitting it to the employer.
Okay. Is filing a return necessary for an individual? Can I file a return of income even if my income is below taxable limits? These are some
Yes,
of the lesser known facts actually.
yes,
Filing of
yes.
return of income.
Yeah, so that I already explained that there are certain reasons which are a future requirement which are not known earlier, will make you feel that I wish I would have known this, I could have filed it on time even when it is below taxable limit, being loan requirements, visa requirements, or house property losses or trading losses for which carry forward is required.
Okay. Are the responsibilities of a taxpayer over once the company deducts a TDS?
Well, the answer is yes as well as no. If you do not have any other income, and if you do not have any other investments other than you have submitted to your employer, and he has already deducted TDS, then yes, it becomes over. However, it becomes necessary to file ITR because of the reasons I had specified. And secondly, no, because there is a chances that there are multiple sources of income an individual has which are not known to the employer. So there's an additional taxability or there is an additional refund that you would want to claim. And also you might not have done all the investments at the time of submitting to your employer. Like in this very year, a 3 months extension has been given up to 30th June. That is, we still have 11 days for making investment for previous financial year. So already the investment declarations are done in January or December. So the employer has deducted TDS on that. However, you have done additional investments during this 3 months, for which it is necessary for you to file return and claim the refund of those taxes, if
Okay.
applicable.
Okay, that was
So
my
consider your additional in. All right.
that was my next question actually, but you covered both the questions in one. Great.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was basically some people asked me that under Section 80C they had done some investments or something for last year, but it has been extended till June 20. Right?
30th June. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So
even now, those who have missed on doing the tax saving investments, you all still have 11 days for the previous financial year. You all can still do that, and don't miss on this, so that you can save on your taxes and also invest into correct products for wealth building.
okay. Now there is one more question from Deepa Shetty. Can we invest above 50,000 in NPS?
Yes, you can invest above 50,000 into NPS, but the thing is that if you do not have any investments into ATC, then that entire amount can be claimed in ATC. But if your ATC has exhausted, then over and above that, only up to 50,000 is what max NPS benefit you get. So when you are investing into NPS, if it is completely for your pension requirement and you feel it is the right product to invest into, and you want to invest a higher amount, irrespective of taxability, then of course you can. But if it is with the perspective of taxability, then I would suggest that see whether ATC has been expired, completely exhausted or not. And if it is, then it is not advisable to go beyond 50,000.
Okay. Last, we'll be having very less questions now. Time is already over. So let me take one last question. That is pension received from superannuation taxable?
Pension received. So it is the same as we had discussed, that the pension or the gratuity that you receive is it has a which it is exempt and beyond which it will be taxable, and it also depends whether you are government employee or non-government employee.
Okay. There was one more question from Anish, that now because of the pandemic and all, everyone is working from home. So a lot of people will claim for internet data and laptop and other stuff. Is that also can be included in tax saving thing?
All these things that you specified, like work from home, the computers and everything. So basically those are perquisites that is a part of your salary structure, and that depends from employer to employer, whether he has considered those perquisites as a benefit being available to the employees or not. There is no specific tax benefit available for that, but there is a benefit in the salary structure, which you can discuss with your employer and analyze whether you can get benefit for that or not.
Okay, it was good. Let me close this question and answer session over here. Okay, one last question.
Yes.
If I initiate in life insurance this year before end of June, right? How will it be treated next year onwards? Because investment now will be counted against previous year for this till June end.
So basically, yeah, I think I should have specified this. It depends completely on an individual while he's investing from 1st April to 30th June, whether he is doing this investment for previous year or for the current year. If he chooses to make this investment for previous year, he can claim it in previous year. But if this investment is for the current year, then while filing of return, he need not specify this life insurance policy. Okay. So even if you are investing in these 11 days, it is not by default an investment for previous year. It is an option that you choose whether you want to make it for the previous year or for current year. It is not a compulsion.
Okay, cool. So we are ending with the question and answers. So we have Praveen. Praveen will be doing the vote of thanks. So give us a minute. Praveen, can you unmute yourself? Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
You are able to hear me.
Yes, you're
Can
audible.
hear you.
Okay. Thank you, FinBingo and TaxBuddy, for this wonderful session. It's been end of the quarter, first quarter of this year, and also the moratorium that is getting extended again for 3 months. And there were very much questions which were HR were bombarded with by our own employees. There are certain organizations wherein they are awaiting for appraisal results. There are certain organizations where the salary cut is going on. There are certain organizations where there is downstream, and in all these, employees are asking the best ways to have their tax saving mediums. And HR, generally the equation is HR is not a tax savvy division, and we always take help of our finance team. But at the same point of time, what I've understood and what I've realized in my personal life is, if you do not understand the taxation structure on your own, then you are missing out on your own hard-earned money. Somebody is going to take a ride on your money and make money out of your own investments or your own savings. I'll tell you a little example wherein I used to save in bank FDs, and I met somebody a few years back, and the FD used to be a recurring FD, and it used to give me an yield of 6-7% or whatever the bank used to give. And when I realized that whatever I am getting out of that recurring deposit is actually not 6-7%, it is actually 5% or maybe less than that, because there are taxes going to get cut on the interest that I'm going to earn. And I switched on to a systematic investment plan, and thereafter saw my investment growing from X to 2X to 3X likewise. And then I realized that I should have done this long back rather than going for a bank instrument like FDs. And then I also cut down on my LIC policies, because the policies were endowment plans and likewise. So one has to understand how money should be grown, and at the same point of time, how it should be protected. So there are few people who fall prey to multi-level marketing. There are various chains which promises you 25% return, 30% return. Money gets doubled in a year's time, and some falls prey to that. And then thereafter, when harm is done to their money, they realize that they have fallen prey to some people who are not worthy to their the advice. And this is where we as an HR need to chip in. We have to help our employees to help their money grow. There are so many calls that lands on our board lines with respect to unpaid loans, with respect to credit card dues, and likewise some of our employees who have done some mischief with the bank, not paid the credit card bills. So that brings the modus operandi or thought process of the people, that people want to shy away when it comes to pay off the money. People want to use the easy available money, but the easy available money is your own money which you save, and the saving needs to be done judiciously. All the slides were superb. Your information that you have given is on dot. I'm sure there is a lot of taking for all of us. We would like to associate with TaxBuddy and FinBingo. Your AI module I have used personally, and it's superb. It works really well. I would suggest my members over here to please log into FinBingo and TaxBuddy. Nidhi and Sujit's number are available to all of you. Please take their help and educate your employees, educate yourself, and take this particular discussion forward at your respective organizations. My sincere thanks to both the managing committee teams of Pune and Mumbai chapter. We have done this program in record 9 days time of discussion. We thought that this program is important because it was first quarter of the year of the financial year. Second, it was an extended period where people need to take help of their tax saving instruments where they can save the tax for the last year, and the salary period was going on. So we took this chance and did this program. It worked well. I'm sure there are questions offline which will keep on coming, and we'll look forward to connect with you all. Thank you everyone for connecting with all of us on this Friday evening. It was wonderful having seeing some of the DPs and the faces that we used to see during our evening programs over a cup, over a glass of beer or whiskey. Those days shall return back definitely. We look forward to see you again. Komal Gaud's DP says that sab moh maya hai. The Zoom DP says that, and it is a moh maya, and we would like to return back to that moh maya world soon. And HRI will rock all of you. Remain in touch with all of us. We will keep on bringing good program to all of you, and be assured that we are there in this hour of crisis. Stay together, stay safe, and we look forward to see you again in the next seminar.
Thank you so much, Praveen, for this opportunity, and thank you so much, Abhijit and Alpini too. Thank you so much, the entire team.